Are we live? Is this thing live? Oh, it looks like we're live. Look at the glare off the top of that gorgeous bald head. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. So, got to get the first bit off right quick. Hey, guys, thank y'all very much. Appreciate all the support you guys give to the channel. All you guys that have given me the super thanks. Thank you very much. I don't see those. They don't pop up. I don't get notifications. But anyway, those of y'all that have, thank you very much. And if you're watching this after it has been filmed live and you're getting just bombarded with ads, X out of the video, give it a day or two, and then come back, check it out. It just means that I haven't pulled all the automatic ad loading out of the video yet. It takes a while to process, and it's kind of a thing. So if that happens, that's not your boy doing that. That's the old algorithms doing their thing. So with all that out of the way, hope y'all are having a fantastic day. So open chat tonight, basically open chats for you guys that are kind of new. It's basically just, if you've got a question, go ahead and throw it out there. Sometimes on open chat, I don't have a monologue on the front end of the channel. I'm sorry, on the front end of the video. It's just me. Guys will start asking questions straight away. Typically open chats are a little bit shorter in duration. So a little bit easier to digest, even though these Mopar chats end up going usually for about an hour to 2 hours sometimes. So, glasses of reading. It's funny when you get to like a point where you have to have these things. It's pretty weird because it just kind of happens overnight. Like you wake up one morning and you can't see the palm of your hand. It's weird, but that's the way it works. Itch is in saying top of the evening, Itch. Joseph's in saying, hey, B Mason, what's up, bro? What's up, Joseph? Superstock is in saying good. So it's kind of funny. So I just got back from playing around with the tune with Stormy. I know the last time I put a video out with that truck, it was that was probably the last time. I mean, it's never the last time. So anyway, that truck is really good. Really enjoying that thing. And it's like I said before, it's not that I've forgotten all about the Hellcat, far from it, but man, I just get so into, playing around and getting these tunes just infinitesimally right. So it was mainly transmission tuning this evening. Superstock saying, good evening, B. Always got the cadence down. I got the flex with the bald guy in the shades. I like it. Sublime, good question, saying, hey, B, have you tried the new Atturo AZ850DR yet? No, unfortunately. So here's the problem. I don't know if their specs are wrong on that tire, but the 305/35 is shown to be very, very short. There's some variances, tire manufacturer to tire manufacturer, and that 305/35 is actually the same height as like a what was it again? Anyway, it was speccing out really short. So there's that. And the other reason why I haven't tried it is because, to be honest with you guys, this Falcon is really good. The Falcon Azenus AZ, what was it? AZ, shit, I can't remember now. Anyway, Falcon Azenus, FK510 SUV is what it is. So that tire has turned out to be an incredibly good street tire. I really couldn't ask for better for the street. Now, from what I understand, though, for you guys that are looking into the Atturo drag radials, from what I hear, they're pretty good. So, but I haven't had a set sent to me. I haven't had a set that I was able to buy. With one other thing, too, they don't make a 295/40 in that tire. And I think that is criminal because that size tire is perfect for a 9.5 or a 10.5 inch wide wheel, in my opinion. Hemi Dad is in. Oh, wait, I just missed up somebody. I messed up my feed here. Let's see. Joe's saying the first two things that go as you age are memory and some other damn thing. That's pretty funny. I like that. I've always been kind of a weird dyslexic. But I am so bad. I've always been like this. I've never not been like this. If I'm doing something and I have, like, say I'm talking to you and I've got this fob pouch in my hand and we're talking, we're doing something. Like, yeah, it's just that. And next thing you know, it's not in my hands anymore. I have no idea where it goes. I'm so absent-minded when it comes to things like that. But other things, I'm obsessively compulsive about, like specific details and things. So I don't know, balances out, I guess. Himmy Dad's asking, Open Chat Night, yes. Does changing out or deleting mid mufflers affect back pressure and horsepower? Is that a myth? It's a myth. See, here's the problem with mid muffler deletes. If they're done right, there's absolutely no loss in power or anything like that. You're perfectly good to go and don't sweat it. I mean, I did a mid muffler delete on my E63 and loved it. It was fantastic. But here's the twist. If you take it to a shop and they booger weld everything, you've got intrusions, you've got all these other issues, there is a way to screw it up. So if it's done the right way, you're fine. If it's not, and care isn't taken when you put the things together, then yeah, you can not necessarily hurt anything. It's just, it can be a hacky job, but no. And there is no back pressure. I mean, realistically, when you're messing with the stock muffler systems on these cars, they're all flow through designs. So if you're worried about, and really back pressure is kind of a false narrative, unless you're talking about like a pressure wave off of a chambered muffler, there is no true back pressure, only specific velocities through that, through the exhaust. And with 2 3/4 inch exhaust, you've got to really be spinning it hard to tax the capabilities, or at least tax the envelope of what that can manage. Good question. Itch is asking, can a mid muffler delete cause any grief? What's up with this thing? Hang on a second, guys. I've seen a few different things on YouTube saying it can cause issues with less back pressure. No. Like I say, there's no such thing as back pressure with the Scat Pack, for example. It doesn't really work like that. Really what you're looking for and what you're looking at is just sheer velocity. You've got a 2 3/4 inch exhaust, just like the Hellcat, the Demon, the Redeye. It's the same basic exhaust, except one has a flow through muffler and the other one's more or less just kind of a cherry bomb with the Hellcat Challenger. So yeah, man, I wouldn't, I would not worry about it. Take it to a quality exhaust shop, one that knows what they're doing. And I think you'll be just fine. It's just the same question. Great minds think alike. Let's see. Let's see. Guys are hanging out. Let's see. Arfos is in saying, "What's up, Mopar gang? What's up, man?" Jose, making things disappear is your superpower, like Copperfield, but way cooler. Well, thank you. Arfo is saying, I was always under the impression that after the X-pipe, back pressure really isn't really a thing. Actually, the X-pipe can technically create a little bit of it is, but it's not. There's so much volume back there that it really doesn't matter. But the X-pipe can create somewhat of a back pressure, if you will, but you've got to remember that due to laminar flow, there isn't an X thing going like this. This is a big misconception too about how gases actually flow. You get a bunch of Bernoulli stuff comes into play with this. But anyway, to make a long story short, I can do this because my fingers are snapped and they go in all directions. But if you have an H pipe, you have a balance tube, which is basically there just to take excessive pressure, right? Is what you're told. And with an X, you're told that the flow goes through each side, right? And it helps to scavenge and do all that. Well, that's true in very low RPM scenarios. But once you are really forcing air through that, in this case, exhaust, but any kind of gas through an assembly that looks like that, for the most part, due to laminar flow, that exhaust will basically just hug the inside radius of that X, if you will. And what you're getting, if anything, is you'll get some compression of the gas as it is meeting in the center. It's more of a flow than anything else, although it is chopped up in little bitty pieces. if you can imagine exhaust valves opening and closing and just puff, 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 puff. You can think of it like, golf balls through a tube or something, if you will. But there is some compression there, so you're not really getting an X flow unless you're really talking about very low RPM. The same goes for the H. The main thing with the H is just a volume. It just helps to create theoretically a little bit larger volume, but the same thing applies. Where an H comes into play, though, is if you have a chambered exhaust. That's where the H, with my personal testing, I did a lot of exhaust testing back in the day. And where an H helped you the most was with a chambered muffler like a Flowmaster. I would not pair an X with a chambered muffler, but an H pipe is fine either straight through or with a chamber. And an X, I would only use flow throughs. So let's see. Unless, like Mason said, you had Helen Keller doing the wells. Well, I mean, yeah, just make sure you got guys not trying to, stretch a pipe over too much, and you want something that's a clean transition. So ideally, you show up to the exhaust shop with a set of 2 3/4 inch stainless, and you have him flare the inlet side, although it's going to kind of wreck your pipe, but it doesn't really matter if you're doing the delete anyway. Flare this way, or rather flare your scavenged pipe, the one you're bringing in, flare that to where you've got flow going this way like this. And on the outside, you'd flare the other side where like this is where the resonator was. You flare that and have the pipe go in that way. And that's the right way to do it. So a lot of shops don't do that. They just take a piece of 3-inch and go, zzz, zzz, and that's it. They don't really pay attention to the details. Daniel's saying, hey, Professor, I have a 21 RT, been trying to upgrade to Brembo 4 pistons and just have had no success no matter what I've tried. They're SRT8 front calipers. I would probably say that you would need, I would get really PBR, was it PBR or Brembo makes those? It's funny you mentioned calipers. This is something that came up not that long ago where we were looking at the Hellcat and going, well, do I really need, serving platter sized rotors on that car? There was one point where we were looking at that thinking, well, there's an area where I could save some weight. And I thought, well, then it really wouldn't be a Hellcat anymore if I did that. So anyway, you're asking about getting those SRT8s. I'm not sure that the front, I'm trying to think, so I've never retroed set of, if you're talking about SRT8, an older set of calipers to the newer steering knuckles up there. I've never messed with that. You shouldn't have a problem with it, I wouldn't think. Are you running into a bolt problem? I've never done the swap, so it'd be new to me. That's why we were looking at Scat Pack stuff, and I was thinking, okay, well, I can just get parts off of a wrecked Scat Pack and just swap it over to the Hellcat just to save the weight, but I just kind of decided against it. I don't know that you're going to get any, by the way, I don't think you're going to get any better stopping performance out of those 4-piston Brembos over what you got in the car now. Just my 2 cents. The new brakes are actually really good all the way around. Now that I'm thinking about it too. There we go. Joseph saying, did everybody see the same video of the mechanic explaining back pressure and mid-muffler delete? Oh, I didn't see that. I've done so much exhaust testing over the years. It's actually something that I got into. I got kind of went down a rabbit hole and had the means and the time to jump into it. So Chuck is in saying hello. Arfo is saying, on that note, what exhaust system would be the best bet for us RT guys? The high performance kit, basically the same stuff that comes on a Scat Pack. If you could pull everything off of a Scat Pack and put it on an RT, you would be in good shape. Although I would want to play with the tune a little bit just to chill out the knock sensors. But other than that, you'd be in good shape. Oh, Daniel say he changed over to the SRT spindles and gotten the proper rotors and dust shield for it. Oh, okay. So Daniel's saying he's got everything he thought he was going to need, but there might be some issues 21, 23. You know, I've heard that about the 21 to 23s. I haven't really messed with any of those, but I have heard that there are some subtle differences that are throwing some folks off. Him saying 6 pistons stop a lot better than the 4s. Yeah, they do. 6 pistons are pretty brutal. If you've got the stock Brembo pads on a set of 6 pistons, those things are nasty, but they will destroy those rotors. I've seen, this is no kidding, had one set of rotors that was lipped almost the width, actually might have been, if not more than the width of this little D-ring here. Yeah, I mean, it ripped those things to shreds. That was the first time that I ever used the brand Demon rotors. I really liked them. Yeah, Chuck saying he didn't do the mid muffler delete. I probably wouldn't do it either. I didn't do it on my SRT. Daniel saying, yeah, after all the issues, just scrap the whole thing and go to 6 piston. Probably that's what I mean, if you want to do an upgrade, do an upgrade. I mean, the 4 piston, you're just not going to get you're not going to notice, I don't think, a big difference. Yeah, Chuck saying it didn't really improve the tone, just made it louder. Yeah. Oh, Super Suck saying, I think everybody's asking about exhaust system because Knockout 360 has a video out on it. It's pretty comical. I haven't seen it, but I will probably have to check that out. Robert, they'd be saying, just curious, how detrimental is an exhaust leak? Will it kill any power? It depends on the exhaust leak and where it is. So I'll put it to you like this. It's everywhere from absolutely benign to critical that it gets fixed. I mean, it's so an exhaust leak, let's say, for example, these are fuel injected cars here, and they rely on oxygen sensors to be able to meter fuel properly. And what can happen, especially if you have long tube headers, this used to be a reason why cars would fail a pre-inspection, is that I would hook them up to the computer and I would go to do the pre-inspection data log, and I would have one side that was just throwing a ton of fuel at the short-term fuel trims. And unbeknownst to the guy that has the car, he's got an exhaust leak. And what happens is as the exhaust pressure is going through the exhaust and it leaks, there's a reversion. And even though you would think that that isn't really a big deal, you're introducing fresh air into the exhaust. And if it happens near or before an oxygen sensor, it throws the whole thing off. So in that respect, it's not good. If you've got an exhaust leak right at the collector, definitely not good because it's too close to the O2. If you've got something further downstream, it does not matter whatsoever. Just make sure it didn't fumigate in the cab of the vehicle that we're talking about. Let's see. Daniel saying, thank you, Professor. Thank you very much, Daniel. DM saying Hellcat rotors are $1,000 each and $600 for Brembos, just the front. So check out, I don't have them on my car. They're not paying me to say it, but Demon Brand is the name of the brand that we used to use for rotor replacements. And just get the whole assembly and go with that. Make a clock out of your old rotor or something. Jay saying, do the Vibrant 1794 resonators in place of the mid mufflers. Those sound good. I have heard them and they do sound good. Really, any of the 3-inch race bullets sound really good. If I had to do it all over again for my rear resonator delete, because it doesn't save any weight, you'd be surprised. There's no weight savings with that to speak of. I just like it's more of an aesthetic, but if I had to do it over again, I'd put a couple of, 3-inch race bullets back there just to tone it down. But now that I've got, the speakers back there, it's all completely back to full on street duty. it's muffled so much of that extra noise that I don't even notice it anymore. It's kind of funny, really. Sovereign's in. Everybody say what's up to Sovereign. Dude just got through getting carved on. So good to see you back, my friend. Kevin's in saying, hey, B, what's up? Took my 16 Challenger Hellcat to the track for the first time last weekend. Went 11.2 at buck 30. Very nice. Is that about average? Was on 18-inch Netto Tri-5 Rs. So here's the thing. Yeah, it's perfectly normal. In fact, that's right about where all of the Hellcat variants run on that type of a tire in general. So yeah, they're all healthy. 15s and 16s typically do sometimes a little bit better than others, but yeah, 1120 at 130, absolutely. That's a healthy kitty cat. Chuck's saying, yeah, I was a little late too, Sovereign. YouTube being YouTube, pretty much. Rome's saying, I got you. Just asked because I put the MBRP cat back and it came with 10 V-bands, so hard to stop them from leaking. Oh, yeah, don't worry so much about that. Just as long as, if you can, get a data log and just make sure short-term fuel trims aren't freaking out. If they're happy, then you'll be happy. Chuck saying cheers. Someone saying thanks, B. Absolutely. Sublime's asking, have I tried the one-piece rotor for the 6 pistons? Have not. Only the 2-piece. Oh, Sovereign saying Racer X says his dark horse is delayed. How am I not surprised? This is my not surprised face. Here's the thing. A lot of those guys that are waiting on cars right now, a lot of those things are going to be delayed for a little bit. So I'm looking forward to the dark horse. I gotta say, man, if I were looking to buy or have another car, if the Hellcat didn't exist, that dark horse would probably be at the top of my list for things to look at. Chuck saying, I saw the video of me with Racer X at the track. There's a lot of videos of me and Racer X at the track. There's a lot of me and Racer X at the track that wasn't videoed too. So yeah, cool, man. Glad you liked it. Sovereign's liking to see what that dark horse can do. Dan saying, for that same 21 RT, do you see any issues emerging with the Hellcat blower besides obvious adapter plate and proper tune? Nah, get out there and have fun with that one. You'll like it. It's cool, especially just don't try to pulley it to the sky. If you do with that combination really what works well, which is to keep it around 6 or 8 PSI. I know it doesn't sound that sexy, but I can tell you right now, keeping the NA Hemis, when you put a positive displacement supercharger, remember you're coming to the party with more compression than the Hellcat anyway, and you got the same stroke. I mean, it's the Hellcat combination is just a 6.4 bore with a 5.7 stroke. Low boost, intercooled, it's a real happy combination. It's extremely similar to the 5.7s with the Edelbrock E-Force combination. And y'all know that's one of my all-time favorite combinations to drive, just to play around with. It's just a fun, happy car, man. So yeah, I don't see any issues with that. Just, again, you need the adapter plates and everything else. But aside from that, a compressor is a compressor is a compressor. So I'd say go for it. Oh, Hemi Dad saying, I saw where shakers are restricted for 2023. Interesting. Chuck saying, he's only seen one. Got to go deep dive your channel. Yeah, I'm sure, like I say, there's videos usually at track days, and he's either in the background, I'm in the background, or there's something else going on. So, Dan saying 8 PSI is plenty to have fun with. Oh yeah. Yeah. 8 PSI is equivalent with a 10.5 to 1. versus a 9.5 to 1. 8 is kind of equivalent to maybe not 10, close to 10 though. Just in terms of cylinder pressure, you got to remember it's a smaller engine, smaller bore. You don't need to run as much timing. So yeah, it'll be a fun combination. Chuck saying a GT 500 gave me an exhaust roar in traffic. Didn't really sound good. Man, I tell you what, if a Mustang has an H pipe, they can sound good, but the 4-valve with an X, the thing is, it's too much RPM to have the sound waves compressed like that. It bumps the octave up. So it just has a bit of a shrill sound to it. Not really my cup of tea. I can think of better ways to make a good noise come out of a car. Speaking of, man, I'll tell you what, like I say, I've been having a blast, playing around with Stormy. That Borla S-Type sounds so good in that car. In that truck. And it is running really good now. Chuck saying it must have been an X pipe. He got thumbs down for me. Yeah, they come from the factory with X's. Sovereign saying 34 watching, but only 27 likes. Oh yeah, hit that like, subscribe. Yeah, if it's your first time watching the live show, consider smashing that like button. Ring that bell. It does make a big difference. It helps a lot with the algorithms, which again, since I got started so long ago with YouTube, a lot of like what used to happen with YouTube is if you subscribe to somebody, whenever that somebody would put out a new something, you would get, it would just come up in your feed. And it doesn't really work like that anymore. And I've tried to figure it out. Like I've tried to, do the whole, the mathematical equations floating around my head, but I've tried to figure that out because it's just real frustrating when I am subscribed to a channel and they put out something new and I don't get notification. And I've got the subscribed, I'm ringing the bell, all of that stuff, and I still don't get notifications. I don't know why it's like that. It just kind of is. Chuck saying his scat sounds way better. Oh yeah. Arfo is saying, would you suggest the Borla S over the Attack on the 5.7 cars? Probably, yeah. And mainly because the Borla S is just a little bit deeper sound. It's a little bit more, I really want to say mellow, but it's just more fitting, I guess. The only downside that I can see with the Attack is that it can just be, like, there's a difference between something that's loud and sounds good loud and something that's just loud because it just wants to be loud, right? It's kind of it when you hear it. And so I like the S-Type just because it's such a good, the tone of it is so good. It's a balanced tone as opposed to just being that pop, pop, pop loud. Yeah, I don't know, Sovereign. It's weird. I'd love to be able to explain it, but I can't. I also would like to be able to understand how it is that our overlords can put in so many ads in one live show. So and by the way, I had no idea this was going on. I would just put out a live show and that was it. I didn't realize I had to go in and manage the automatic ad placement, because I'm not telling it to do that at all. And so, in fact, I have to go in and manually remove a bunch of those ads. Kind of funny. Chuck's asking about the Corsa exhaust. I like Corsa. Corsa sounds really good too. I just happen to I just gravitate a little bit more towards the Borla, but either Borla or Corsa, you cannot really go wrong. I can tell you that on these Rams, that Borla S-Type is the only way to go. Matt with Most Performance turned me on to that, and my man, took care of me on that deal. That was a really good, way to go on that one. I mean, you can hear it. It's nice and burbly, just kind of cruising around. You may not even pick up on it, but when you start to lean into the throttle a little bit, you can definitely hear it. And I have made some more changes to that tune, and the truck is quite a bit snappier. So, and I've tried to, I tell you what, I've tried to like sneak into the tune on that truck just because I was going, well, maybe I don't want it to be quite as aggressive, or I don't want the shifting to be quite as aggressive. Screw all that. I just started shift timing down, pressures up, I just kind of ramped it up a little bit, and it is addicted. That truck is addicted to drive. And this is okay. So talk about fun versus fast. And this is why I've told so many guys to stay away from the Hellcat platform if you've got a Scat. It's kind of funny. You start to lean into wanting more power pretty quickly. And then you get your hands on a Hellcat, and it's there. I know of, let me think, 1, 2. I know of 3 people off the top of my head that have gone back to Scat Packs. And well, one of them, two of them went to 1320s. One of them went to a Scat Pack. And they came from Hellcats, and they're just like, Dad, kind of one of those cooler heads prevailed type of a thing. And they're just saying, look, I thought I wanted more, and I got more, and it's not the more that I thought it was going to be. So if you're happy with the Scat, it doesn't mean you're going to be happy with more. And if you're thinking about getting a Hellcat. So, let's see. Oh, Sovereign saying he's got an ad blocker. If it's keeping ads from popping up, cool. On my side, I mean, it blows the entire thing out with ads. Chuck saying, story sounds great. Thank you very much. Chuck's asking, you didn't like the stock pipes? Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, okay, so I got to be, okay, let me just be real with you. It's not whether I liked the stock pipes or not. My wife hated the stock pipes. My wife is, if you are going to have something with a V8, you need to be able to hear it. She wants to hear that V8 sound. She loves it. She is all about she is, or let me rephrase that. She is not all about the stock exhaust. She likes the way that Sierra sounds. By the way, Sierra will snap a neck in a parking lot. That truck sounds really good. But the same goes for Little Miss Revlon, AKA stage name Shalandra, or Chandelier. Shalandra was my first Challenger anyway. And, but yeah, Stormy, absolutely. She loves that exhaust on that truck, and it fits the truck well. Again, it's nice, mellow, deep tone, and it sounds so good. And just rolling into the throttle, it's really good. It's really good. Let's see. Oh, Chuck saying a buddy of his went back to a 392. Summer said, yeah, Scat's a nice, well-rounded NA car. It is. Ardell saying, I enjoy my Hellcat. I do too. Look, I'm not saying I would trade it in for a 1320, although that I'm not going to say it almost happened, but there was almost a 1320 in the stable at one point. I like Hellcats when they're tastefully, when the modifications are tastefully managed. It's pretty easy to get a little bit out of your lane with a Hellcat. And when you are trying to drive, when you try to make 1,000 horsepower with a positive displacement supercharger, there's a lot under the curve that sounds fun. It's all really beefy and juicy. But the problem is that it can become annoying. Your traction is non-existent. And a stock Hellcat, maybe a Hellcat with a gear, a small pulley like a 3.0, that that's some good stuff. And if you live in higher altitudes, yeah, I'd say throw a pulley on it for sure. But there's some tasteful mods you can do to a Hellcat, especially if it's a manual car. I think it's basically like mandatory that you put a 3.0 or at least a 315 pulley on those cars. And maybe a 392 gear out of a Scat Pack. But those are really fun cars. Don't get me wrong. But there's you start to kind of edge once you get a little bit too far into the modifications, the car becomes a bit unbalanced, in my opinion. Ardell said I've owned 2 Scats and they were fun. Absolutely. I'm the same way. If it doesn't sound like thunder on the startup, I'm not interested. I tell you what, it has a really good sounding cold start is Stormy. I ain't gonna lie. And if you got, I know you may have heard me, but for you guys that are new, there's a reason why cold starts sound the way that they do. It has nothing to do with the vehicle being cold per se, but in the tune, timing is retarded and the mixture is rich. So if you think about it, if you are firing that mixture with the piston lower in the cylinder, 2 things are happening. One, when it's going to create less cylinder pressure, but it's easier to light off. 2, as that piston comes down, when the exhaust valve opens up, everything's still expanding. And so you have more pressure coming out of the exhaust on the cold start because of that. So anyway, if you've ever wondered, that's why. It's because the timing's retarded and the mixture is rich. Chuck saying Hellcats are great. It's just that the new ones are so pricey, price gouged right now. It's ridiculous, man. I tell you what, I feel for anybody that is seriously like, this is the point where they're going, man, I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm going to grab one of these cars. Golly, it is so hard. I mean, there are some dealerships that'll work with you and that's cool and all, don't get me wrong, but golly, there's some dealerships that won't. They'll take advantage of you if they can. All I can say is don't be the sucker that they were waiting on getting there. Ken saying, I would like the Demon suspension on my Redeye. Here's the fun thing about Demon suspension. It'll ride like a Chrysler Imperial, man. That softer suspension is the big difference between a Demon and a Redeye. I loved. So, y'all, I got stuck with a Demon for about a month, and it was a lot of fun, mainly because it was just a completely different kind of car. One of the happiest cars I've ever driven. And that's why I ended up, it was because of how much abuse Hellcats could take that I got my Hellcat. And it's because of how happy, just a happy car, that I, did the gear swap and then jumped back in the middle of tuning with my car. So, just because that Demon was just such a happy, and the Redeyes are the same way. They're just real happy cars to drive. Chuck said, I don't feel like a compromise though. Just hoping the next purchase, the prices will come down a bit for sure. No, you're not compromising. Look, the good thing about the Scat Packs is that they have achieved mission completion. I mean, it's a big NA V8 in a big car. I mean, it does everything really well. There is no compromising with those. If anything, any of the Hellcat variants, I mean, you're just taking that and taking it way further. Anytime you start adding positive displacement superchargers to V8s, yeah, that's a completely different. Yeah, you're not compromising, brother. That's a good car you got. Ardell saying, I agree, Chuck. I was fortunate. He ordered his 2022 at the right time. Very good. Oh, yeah. Chuck said he just about bought that pitch black kitty. Yep. Saying Superstock's my other dream car, but my 392 stays with me. I would agree with that. Yeah, the Superstock's a pretty neat car, man. Here's the funny thing. I say funny. There's a lot of Demon owners that got out when the getting was good. because getting out right now, the getting ain't good, especially if you got one when the guys were getting out of the getting's good game. Anyway, a lot of those guys got super stocks. Like a freaking ridiculous number of the Demon owners ended up buying super stocks. And they're neat car. I mean, they're everything that a Demon is. It just doesn't have that high octane mode, but these guys don't care. I mean, most of them are just out there having fun with the cars anyway. So, you know, and it begs the question. Yeah, this is something else. This is okay. I was in a conversation with somebody about this. We were talking about the Demon variants in the 170, and what do you do if you get one? Like, okay, so think of it like this. If you get a Demon, like, which one is better? There's some objective things, some subjective things, but, you know, it's like, which one is really better? Is the Demon better because, I mean, you can just kind of run race gas? You know, is the 170 better because it's E85 compatible, but you got to be in an area that you can get E85. But if you can get race gas, you can get E85 because it just comes in pills, right? But you can run butane with the regular Demon and get your octane up. And then you've kind of got your 100 octane mode there where you can't really do that with the 170. You have to run a corn. So anyway, we're kind of going back and forth with that. But the reality is, most people, if they're just rolling the thing around, it's going to be on 93 octane, right? They're going to be running on pump gasoline. Is there functionally a difference between the two at that point? And that's where you're kind of going, well, I don't know that there is. And this gets into the, you know, you have to start defining fast at this point. Alex, thank you very much. I appreciate that. With the super chat is in, say, Mr. B, I bought a Charger without the dynamic suspension. Okay. Is there any way I can take to the dealer and have it installed and have the ECM recognize it? So the dynamic suspension, all of that info is held in the body control module. Your body control module may have everything that it needs to be able to work with the dynamic suspension. I have never done a swap from a car that didn't have dynamic to a car that did. So there could potentially be some harness changes that would need to be made. But again, all of that programming is going to be found in the body control module. So it'd be a body control module reflash potentially. And it would also entail potentially some harness changing. But to answer the question directly, technically, depending on the year of the car, if it's a 20, say 15 and up, you may be able to reflash it. That would be a question for the dealer, where they would have to unlock that feature in the body control module. Another place you could look to would be Z Automotive, the manufacturer of the Taser. Shoot them an email. They don't do anything by telephone. Shoot them an email and see if they can unlock those features in the body control module for the dynamic suspension, if there's a way that they can do that, if they're working on that for a swap. So first, check with the dealership, see if they'll even work with you on that. But concurrently, get a hold of Z Automotive and see if they've got something that can do that. I know they can unlock a lot of features that are just not up and running for the guys that have some of the later cars. I'm talking about Z Automotive. So, but check it out and check back in with us. Let us know what you discover. I'd like to hear how your success goes with that. Chuck saying badass, but thank you again, Alex. I appreciate that. Hopefully those are some resources that'll hook you up. I can tell you that I cannot access that in HP Tuner. Hang on, I've got HP Tuners up. Let me see if I can even find that. I don't think I have anything on. No, I don't have anything in the system side. I'm looking at it right now, and I got nothing. That's one of the things that irks me about having the tuning software and all of that, is that we don't have access to a lot more than you might think. There are subsystems and things like that we just have absolute, like, I can't adjust predictive shift algorithms. I cannot I cannot activate or deactivate certain features in my truck, even though I have access to those PIDs. You can believe that. There's just a bunch of really goofy minor things that I can't adjust. I can, and it's also the way that you adjust them, especially for the Mopars, is not very it's very counterintuitive. It's not very intuitive at all. Ardell saying super stocks are awesome. I do like super stocks. Daniel saying, be right back. Hopefully live is still going by the time I'm back. If not, thank you. Oh yes. Thank you, buddy. Chuck saying demons are great, but nowhere to be found in my area. And Daniel saying demons in my area are going for $200. What? All right, man. Y'all know my thoughts on that deal, but I am more than happy, because apparently I love the sound of my own voice. I am more than happy to visit on that subject again. So here's the thing, guys. If the only way that I would be a player on a Demon 170 is if I could get my hands on one at invoice. And I cannot. I am not going to try to sugarcoat this. There's just no way that I could or would make it happen, because I would have to get rid of Revlon to make the purchase work. And it's just not something I'm willing to do. I've got a car, in fact, sequence 416 car 0240. I've got my build sheets actually framed, as a matter of fact. And one's big and one's little. Anyway, they're hanging on the wall over here. But yeah, sequence 416, I don't know what that means. And 0240 is my number, apparently. My understanding is my number. So I'm car 240, Challenger SRT Hellcat for 2015. In other words, either way, whatever the numbers mean, whatever, it's a low VIN 2015. It's a true Foxtrot Hotel. I've got a car that is, I'm not going to say it's more rare. It's not, but I've got the beginning of the conversation. We all know how it ends, but in this case, I've got a car that was there at the beginning. And so I kind of like having the first, somebody gets the last, it even better. So, if I were to get one, it would probably be Frostbite. But yeah, again, the only play that I would have on one would be based around me getting rid of my car. And that's just an absolute non sequitur for me. And okay, so here's my deal with the Demon. If you're not taking it to the 170 or the regular Demon for that matter, if you're not taking it to the drag strip, what are you really doing with it? I mean, you can drive it. It is an automobile. You can do automobile things with it. Kind of a weird, I don't know. I get a weird vibe with the 170 too. Not really sure why. Chuck saying a lot of history of Revlon. There is a ton of history. Some really cool history with that car too. I mean, we've been able to do a lot of really neat things over the last 4 years, really, with that car. And for that car to not really have anything done to it aside from like some parts bin stuff, it's really running good. So can't take that away from her. That's for sure. I'd love to be able to drive her. It's just been raining. So like storming raining here lately. And that's always, it's beginning of summer. So, here come the floods anyway. But again, it's not like I forget about the car. I don't. I mean, I see it every day, but man, Stormy's a whole lot of fun like a whole lot of fun now. It's a lot like having, how can I put this? Having Stormy now is a lot like having a 5.7 Charger with a really big trunk. That's kind of how it runs. That high 13, cool air, it'll run a mid 13, that whole, performance envelope, but just the partial throttle is so snappy with that thing. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. No doubt about it. And the other side to it is, you'd never know it by looking at it. It just looks like a stock truck. It did put a little bit of a hurting on an F-150. That was a bit of an impromptu contest of speed. But by the time he rolled into the throttle pretty hard, and I went what? And by the time he figured out what was happening, he wasn't going to catch old Stormy. So she's actually Stormy. As far as like a win to loss ratio, Stormy's actually pretty good. So now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, Stormy's actually not bad. Stormy, you guys remember this or not? Had Stormy at the drag strip when I first started filleting the tune in that truck, and had a guy with a stock Lightning. This is an old school 0304 Lightning, and he had said, I forget what he said to me. He said something like, "How did it run?" or "What's it run?" or something like that. I said, "Man, I was working on the transmission tune, and I was having an issue with it where it would command a later shift, and I still don't understand why it would do this. There's nothing in the tune that would like give it a reason to do that. Anyway, it only happened at the drag strip. In fact, I still have data logs somewhere in here with me going and making street hits after being at the drag strip, and the thing did fine. Anyway, stung that Lightning at the drag strip, which was pretty funny because he said, "Well, you want to light them up?" I'm going, "Yeah, sure." I mean, I'm data logging a truck. So yeah, line them up. You want to line up next to a stock Dodge truck, go for it. The Lightning got beat. And it commanded the late shift too. Itched is out. Good to see anybody. Thank you for stopping by. But lots of good questions tonight, guys. Typically on a Tuesday, by the way, I shave down the Tuesdays. I try not to go too much further than an hour. Basically just makes it a little bit more palatable for some guys to suffer through, especially if you're using me as the intended purpose, which is just a background noise generator that's somewhat car related, which is what I think a lot of folks do with this channel. Oh, Chuck's saying, weird. I saw a video of a guy running a last call scat in the 14s at an old airport runway. I run my 2021 scat consistently in the low 12s with street radials, no prep. It could have been at altitude. It could have been a heat thing. Could have been a driver thing. And it could have been if it was an earlier scat. The later scat packs run better than the older cars by about 1/10.5 or 2/10. Chuck's saying DA. Absolutely, it could have been based on DA. But yeah, the newer cars, the 19 and 20 and up, yeah, those cars run better, like consistently better. That's why, man, I really like that 13. The 1320 just really, kind of tugs at the heartstrings a little bit, but I don't know. I started off like not really panning that car, but a little bit of a naysayer. I mean, and then I got to spend a whole bunch of time with one and really kind of fell in love with that car. Ardell is out. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. Chuck's saying, night, Ardell. Thank you for stopping by. It says Sovereign. Yeah, you got to spend a lot of time with a 1320 and fell kind of in love with that car, man. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Really cool car. Lots of fun on the street. Those Nexen drag radials, even in as delivered form at 32 psi. Ray and I were running 12.2s with that thing on the street, and we're like two dumb kids laughing about it the entire time. Lots of fun. And I mean, it was hit after hit after. I'll put it like this. We were making hits in that car for close to 2 hours. You know, we'd make a few hits, go hit the store, grab something to drink, get some chips, jump back in the car, make more hits. I mean, it was a lot of fun. We had a blast in that thing. And it was fast too. I mean, in really good DA, but could have had a little bit better. The car was, without running like a crazy tire setup or anything like that, they're running freaking 1140s. So surprisingly quick, you know, and that's the other thing is that, you know, one of the things that is really hard for me to talk about when we're talking about cars, especially nowadays, you know, back in my day, when the ding dang and dang dang, you know, I don't want to be that dude. Okay. Just know that coming into this. But there was a time where cars like the 1320, that would have been unheard of. A performance envelope that you would never see in a emissions friendly, gets 22 miles per gallon on the highway kind of car. I mean, you'd have never seen something like that. I'll give you a perfect example of this. My 96 Viper bone stock, I got thrown off the track for running an 1170. So if that gives you any idea of the performance window of what these cars are capable nowadays, it's just unbelievable. And so, you know, you look at what a Hellcat is capable of, you know, low 11s. You look at what any of these cars are capable of. It's just bananas crazy how fast these things are now. Oh, Sovereign saying, by the way, since the 1320 isn't a wide body, how is it managing to hook up? Could it still be the Scat Pack wide body? Yes. And it's all just based on the tires that are on it. It uses from the factory, they have Nexen drag radials, which are eerily a decent tire. They're you may not have heard of them, but they're actually a good tire. And what sucks is that they don't make a 295/40 because I looked. Chuck said, I would love to see B in the 1320 at the track. I had a riot with Scat Packs at the track. I've driven so many Scat Packs for guys at the track. Sovereign, yes, it's all about the tire with a 1320. A little bit of suspension, but it's mainly all about and weight. That's the other side. Chuck saying 1320 is 1170 stock. Regular Scat Pack is 12s. Until you put a drag pack on it. That is correct. We got to remember we were running 1150s. Racer X and I were with the shaker that he had. So and it was funny is he went an 1157 and then I went an 1157, which was pretty funny. X is in saying, "What up, Professor B in chat? What's up, X?" Yeah, actually, I'm only doing an hour tonight, so. Going to be sliding up out of here. I got to get up early in the morning. Got some paperwork to knock out. Always getting the admin done early. That's the idea anyway. But yeah, the tune, let's see. So tune for Stormy, I've got to say is done, but it probably isn't. But it is really close to being done now. And I would, you know, it's coming too. At some point, I would like to put a sticky set of tires on that truck and see what it would really do in good air. Even if it's just a draggy hit, I would like to do it. Sovereign, I haven't seen it, buddy. I have no idea what it is. Probably a Scat, more than likely. Chuck saying the BFG 275s are running great. Awesome. Those are good tires. Chuck saying he's got to check in. I like it. Peace out, my friend. Thank you for being a part of the show. Oh, that Charger gets away. I'd have to dig up the video. It's probably a Scatty. Oh, Ghost RT saying I run the same tires on my RT, the Nexen drag radials. I like them. There is not a darn thing wrong with the Nexen drag radial. I had, and what's cool, let me put it to you like this. The Nexen at 32 PSI was a very forgiving tire on the street. So it's got that going for it, at least. I really do like the Nexens quite a bit. But guys, with that, I got to wrap it up. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of y'all for hanging out with me. Would not do this without you. Guys, be cool to somebody. Get out there and do something cool for them. Chances are they need that way more than you know. Sovereign, yeah, send me that video. And with that, guys, that is a wrap. Y'all have a great one. Adios.